Okay, this is Candace, and there's a few little issues with it. It's looking kind of weird the way it spins the opposite direction that it's going in. Um, I would expect it. Where's the first keyframe on 0 or something? Yeah. So, if it goes to positive, starts at minus 360. I would just take all these out. Double click on the timeline, right mouse click, delete, and oh, there's still a keyframe there. Okay. And then keyframe these. Got auto keyframe on. Make sure it's rotating forward. And then double click, right mouse click, tangents, linear. We get a linear tangent so it stays at an even pace. See, that makes more sense to me for it to be rolling forward. There's some cases where a ball can hit the ground and start spinning backwards for a second, but I don't think it would consistently spin in the wrong direction. I think your bounces are soft too. Let's look at your graph editor. Yeah, I can tell right here. See that? Let's look at the y curve, translate y. Actually, it's almost easier to see it when it was flat, or how it kind of like it speeds up but then it slows down before it bounces. It should keep speeding up right to the point where it hits, which means the curve is going to be shaped more like that. So let me just show you what it looks like now. So look how those bounces are kind of soft. And then let's fix all these. That one's kind of high there. Looks like you did some of them, but not others. Or it could have been they were ruined by when you put in these extra keyframes and you never went back and fixed them. So you might have had it right at one time. Yeah, it's got much snappier bounces. So that's really the big issue. You could play with some of your squash and stretch a little bit, but I think those two things, the rotation and the those tangents on the y translate curve were the big things. Okay, this is Candace's realistic bounce. And I think we've got I think we have the same issue with the that y translate again. It's not bouncy enough. Well, it's a little bit better, but I think you can. Yeah, it's sort of just weird shape to your curve there a little bit. Oops. This I might center a bit more. Get those a little longer. That looks a lot bouncy. And then the timing of the squash and stretch is wrong. Because see, it's squashing before it hits the ground. So this should actually be, I'm going to move this forward one. Oh, I'm on the wrong node. Sorry. We want the ball top control. Okay. So, here it's at its most stretched. Probably more straight up and down. right? I mean, that's not such a, if this is a realistic ball, we wouldn't go that far. It would be more subtle. And I might not squash so much either for the realistic ball. But you definitely, but the thing was you were squashing before you, and I think you did it again here. Yes, you look at squashing in midair. This should be, you know, it's most stretched here. And then again, I might go a little more subtle on the squash. So that looks better. I like the kind of realistically random feeling movement. Yeah. Okay, so a few things to fix on there, but yeah, otherwise all right. Okay, this is Anton's cartoony ball. It's all right. I think the uneven forward momentum makes it feel like it kind of has a life of its own, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But let's compare it. If we took the let's look at that X curve. Yeah, I'm not. Oh yeah, that starts out slow, speeds up, and then gets slow at the end. So just making this linear, I think, will make a big difference. There's still a bit of a feeling of speeding up and slowing down, but I think that has more to do with the way the squash and stretch works. So because the jumps are a little bit small, I mean, I guess it's all right. You could try reducing the effects of the squash and stretch here. If you just take all of this, R for scale, put your mouse in about the middle, shift, middle mouse drag, you can kind of reduce the whole effect of the squash and stretch all at once there. So it's a little more subtle now. Anyways, yeah, so those are the couple things you could fix on there or adjust. Okay, this is Anton's realistic bounce. And yeah, a couple issues. The first one is the rolling away needs more rotation. That really grabs my eye. And then I feel like this bounce is sort of slow compared to the other ones. This first one, it like pauses in the air almost. Here. It's this range here, you know, it's like just going so slow there. I might, do you need that keyframe? I might delete this one and then do right mouse click keys, remove in between. Oh, I better make sure I have all the controls selected if I'm going to do that. Keys, remove in between, remove in between. Maybe I went too far. Maybe I undid one of those remove in betweens. That looks a little bit better. And if this is going to drift this way, it needs to roll more. So let's say we keep the same amount of drifting, but let's check out our ball rotate here. And set a keyframe here. And it definitely needs to rotate more. And let's just make sure it's linear. Double click to select the keyframes, right mouse click, tangents linear. Closer. Well, you've not made it easy on yourself because you have it rolling away first and then going that way. So I guess what we need to do is, it's not easy, so kind of have it roll some that way first. Again, let's make this linear. Oh, that looks really wrong. I don't like that. That is not an easy thing to do. It didn't rotate the right way. Why didn't it rotate the right way? Looks like it would, but rotation can be funny that way. Oh yeah, that's better actually. I don't know why. That's looking more believable, isn't it? And then again here we need more. Oops. Make sure these are linear. Okay. Oh, it does really slow down at the end. Oof. This is not easy. So I might, for this, I might flatten this tangent actually. Oh, that kind of works. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty believable now, that rotation, that rolling. It's sliding a little bit, but not too bad. Yeah, so I think a little more time on that. Okay, but yeah, I mean, it definitely can tell you're paying attention to reference, which is good. So nice work. All right, this is K, and yeah, that looks good. Seems the middle jump seems maybe it's like it's traveling a little further. I might take a look at the graph editor for that. Yeah, I mean, it's this X curve. I think it's sort of goes a little slower for the first one, and then it kind of speeds up on the second ones and slows down on the last one. So I might take this and shift middle mouse drag and kind of make that more evenly paced. Maybe this one a little bit too. Maybe this one more like that, a little bit of a straighter line. I think that's a bit better. But yeah, I think you've done a really nice job. That looks good. Okay, and this is the realistic one. Oh. Let me see what your video would look. Yeah, there's something a little, it's feeling a little light for a bowling ball. So, and it's kind of going in this weird curved path. I'm just going to look at it from the top because it's not. Yeah, I think there's a real issue with your, oh, yeah, you're not using the rig. Okay, well, but that's alright. I think let's take a look at your Y translate curve because I think that these, so let's get rid of that right there. And I think this could be, let me take out this one too. And I think, yeah, these could just be a lot more kind of bounce shaped. Yeah, look at these. That's kind of weird, and this one sort of goes underneath. Whoops. I would probably flatten these tangents. Whoop. Oh yeah, let's break this again. Break tangent there, and something like that. Break that one. Take this one out. Break this one. Alright, let's see if we like that any better. Yeah, a lot more bounce to it. Also, it's weird how it's sort of the forward movement kind of accelerates. So let's take a look at that. Is that the X? Yeah, it's kind of got this slow to fast thing here. So I might take these things out and make that more linear. And then you can always have it slow down somewhat as it goes forward, but it shouldn't accelerate. It can decelerate. That's a little better. And I think those bounces at the end could be a little faster, those little ones at the end. Let's look at the whole thing. Yeah, let's just look at the Y. I think that you want these to be much quicker. Well, maybe even this one. I'm just going to deselect these one at a time. Yeah, maybe this can be really quick, just like one frame up and one frame down. Let's take a look at that. See that those last little bounces look a little more real, and I think it's sort of a bowling ball can slide like that, but I think it would look better if it continued to rotate at the end. So we can take a look at your rotation keyframes, and yeah, let's just look at maybe take out. Oh yeah, it doesn't go all the way to end. So first I would make sure it's going all the way to the end there, and then let's just see if it needs to rotate more. I think that's actually better right there, just making sure it continues to rotate until the end. Okay, yeah, so a few fixes on that one, but overall pretty good. Also, I would either have it landing on the grid or put in like a ground plane there, just to have something to, it's easier to kind of visualize if there's a ground plane. Oh, I guess yeah. All right. This is Jesse, and yeah, it looks good. Only thing I might consider changing is that the squash and stretch looks a bit exaggerated relative to the size and speed of the bounces. So if you wanted to, a quick way to adjust that is why does this look different? I don't know. Oh, okay, whatever. I guess it's the same. Anyway, you could take this and just grab this whole thing and R for scale, put your mouse over the middle, shift middle mouse drag, and just scale it all down, and then compare that. No, it's a different look. It's, you know, not absolutely better, but I just wanted to check the X translate curve too, because it seems like there's a little bit of slowing down and speeding up. I might try to get that kind of a little bit more of a straight line there. Yeah, not much different. Okay, yeah. Alright, this is Jesse Realistic Bounce, based on a bowling ball. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. The roll at the end is weird because it's not, and then it also seems to speed up at the end. So let's look at that. So yeah, that extra. So also for something like realistic like this, I don't think I'd have these extra frames in here. Anyway, I'm just going to take all those out. That's going to make that a lot easier. Okay, I think that's better already. And then I think the other thing that's bugging me at the end is it doesn't continue rotating all the way to the end when it stops. Or am I wrong? Oh, I know what that is, because of the because of the deceleration here. So I'm going to make it linear, and let's check that. Okay, it's better in that it's, you know, rolling to the end, but I think that it needs to, well, just roll more. Why is that off? Whoops. Let's make sure we're here. And make sure that's state. Oops, not hypershade. Ah, jeez. Made a mess of this whole thing. Hold on a second. Turn off the outliner for a second. Put this back to there. Okay. Back to there. Oh yeah, it's still linear. Good. Okay, so this needs to be one frame back. Pretty close. And then if you did want it to slow down at the end, if you could flatten this tangent of the rotation, but then you'd also have to flatten the tangent of the move as well, so that they're both slowing down and hopefully the same amount. Yeah, that looks better to me. Kind of coming to a gradual stop there. Okay, so a few little fixes on that, but overall looking good. Okay, this is Julia Lasseter. And there's the squash and stretch looks good, but right away I can tell that the Y translate curve is not right. Yeah, I can just see by the shape of that kind of on the bottom, that kind of slow in, slow out. So let's just look at isolate the Y here, and get this centered here, and then yeah, make sure all of these are, let's make sure they're all broken, and then that one looks a little off. Which are these at 0? We're at 1.037? Or should they just be at 1? Let's try that. Okay, maybe make this one a little, yeah, maybe that one a little wider too. And now let's check this out. Yeah, much bouncier now. And there's some forward momentum issue as well. Let's check that X. Yeah, let's make this, it's that slow in, slow out thing, so let's make this linear. And let's also try to make that more consistent, on a line. Maybe something more like that. Okay. Alright, that's better. Alright, so a couple little fixes there. And this is this Julia realistic bounce. I like how you try to do the bunch of little bounces at the end, but I think it's weird how it's rotating sort of backwards, and also those little bounces, while it's good that they're fast, should be much smaller. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, these guys should just be gradually each getting smaller. So I might just go like that. Just deselect, deselect, deselect. Whoop. Just doing shift middle mouse drag to move these down each time. Okay, and then you get that gradual. I think that's better. Although these first few, there's an issue with two, I think. Yeah, see these, it doesn't matter when they're one frame long about the curve on the bottom, but when they're longer than that, these need to be, oh, that's not going to work. Made to bounce here because they're doing that sort of slow in, slow out thing at the bottom. Like you can see it more clearly if you zoom in there. It looks like that, and it needs to look like this to look more like a bounce. And then this. See, it doesn't actually matter. Once they're one frame long, you don't see the frame in between, so those don't actually matter. Oh, there's something wrong with the first one still. Didn't I fix those? Oh, okay, just sort of missed it. Oh, make sure this one's broken. And like so. And like so. And make sure that's broken. I just didn't have that framed when I did the rest of them. Oh yeah, and right here as well. There we go. Okay. And then the weird backwards rotation thing, where, yeah, I would just kind of do the opposite here. You did minus 720. Let's just try 720 positive. That looks like much too much though here. I mean, what I would do, sort of like how it's doing it at the end here. Maybe starting around here. That looks good, but then here, there's just too much spinning, so maybe, yeah, if it goes from 0 to whatever 533, maybe instead I'll go from, something like this, 360 to 533. Well, I don't like how it starts accelerating there. Oh, maybe that's the... yeah, let's try to just make at least this first part linear. see how that looks. Anyways, you can play with the rotation more, but you know, there's a few fixes for you. Okay, this is Shelly Cartoony Bounce. Alright, well, it's sort of a start, but and it's good that you got the kind of bounce shape, but you don't have any of the rotation or squash and stretch in there. So for a cartoony bounce, I would take another pass at that and add the certainly the squash and stretch, you know, which you do just by this, you know, controller here. You know, animate that. And let's just look at the graph editor for this one. Yeah, and your Y curve is a little messed up. It's all right. I might tuck those in a little bit, but yeah, that's probably fine. It's mostly that you don't have squash and stretch, and you don't have rotation, and yeah, those are the main things. So add the squash and stretch really, and it's nice to add some rotation with this thing. And it's all in the video. I don't really need to recreate it for you, but if you have any questions, let me know. And this is Shelly's realistic bounce, and yeah, I mean, I guess if for me, if anything, this one's less realistic than the other one. I think you really need to get your Y curve fixed on this one. And I wonder why you have a big flat thing at the top here. That's strange. Just deleted that, and let's make sure these are all broken, and you know, adjust these. Just selecting middle mouse drag. Okay, so at least we got those. Whoops, let's get this one a little longer. Whoops. Oh, it doesn't want to do it. Okay, who cares? It's fine. Yeah, there's still a weird timing issue on that second bounce. It's just too long. Or maybe it's, let's check that forward momentum, see what that's doing. Yeah, it's kind of a weird shape there. So I would take all these out, and make that linear, and then maybe it slows down a little bit towards the end, but it doesn't need to. Maybe something more like that. Boy, that second bounce still looks too long to me. I think if you look at the length of time of the first bounce and then compare it to the second bounce, this one's much longer, so maybe make this one, you know, even that out a little bit between those. Something like that, maybe. Maybe more like that. It's alright. Feels really slow to me. And then, you know, get some, maybe some rotation on this, like maybe here, and then like so, and let's make that linear. A little better with some rotation on it, yeah. Anyways, I think that one needs a lot of work. So Natalie, yeah, there's some big glitch in here. There's some big frozen thing in the middle. Let's see if we can figure out what is going on with that. Somehow you've got all these, you know, this whole frozen section here. I guess what I would do is, yeah, look at that. Oh, it's like, well, okay, there's a lot going on here. Let's look at this first, and boy, that's a mess. So let's just take out all these keyframes and make this linear and see where we're at now. Okay, there's some other stuff going on there. Why are these in stepped tangent type? Oh yeah, there's, wow, that is some, okay, these got, just basically take those out. Okay, that pretty much fixes that. Alright, let's just do these one at a time. Nothing on there. Oh, this is all stepped. Why is this stepped? Let's try, just clamped, I guess. What is that? Or is this auto? Let's try that. Alright, there's some weirdness in there, but let's take out this one. Okay. Anyways, it's looking better now. So yeah, you just had a lot of crazy glitchy keyframes with step tangent type in there, messing that one up. So gotta get and clean that up. Okay, this is Natalie Realistic. Okay, a few issues here. Again, with the step tangent. I don't know why you're doing that. Where is that coming from? Where are you putting your rotation? You should be putting your rotation on this, and it looks like you are not. So first I would probably take all these out and make at least this linear. Maybe I'll leave it like that. And then, yeah, the use with this. Yeah, I wonder why this is these are at minus 12.5. Anyways, I would think that it should be at the same height as those, and then make sure this is flat on top here, and then make sure these have kind of some bounce to them. Okay, a little bit more like that. Yeah, where's your weird rotation thing coming from? Jeez, I can't find it. Did you add something to the geometry, maybe? Ah, there they are. Okay, well, first of all, you shouldn't have any keyframes on the geometry because that's why we have a rig. So right mouse click, delete selected, and then yeah, and then to get your rotate in there, let's use the rotate control. And you do have a keyframe at the beginning already. Let's just put one in at the end. You know, something like that. Why did that? Seems like it's working. Oh, we're on step tangent for some reason. Tangents. Let's try auto. There we go. Oh, that second bounce. It's a little soft to me. It all looks a little slow motion to me, actually. But anyways, that's a little bit better. Probably want to speed that up. Okay, this is Warren. Yeah, I think you got all the basics right. I think there's a weird like acceleration thing happening at the beginning there. like it's not moving here and then suddenly moves forward quickly. So let's take a look at, yeah, you can see it right here, that the angle of that compared to the rest of it. So let's isolate that curve and just make sure this is a little bit more, consistently in a line there. And then the other thing I would say, your squash and stretch is pretty exaggerated for the speed of these bounces. So I might take this and just select all of these, and R for scale, put my mouse along the center line, shift middle mouse drag, and just scale these down. Why didn't it grab all of those? Or is that some little ghosting setting? I guess that's like what tells you where you were. Okay. Maybe I went too far. You can get some of that back if you want, but somewhere in between maybe. Better. Okay. This is more unrealistic bounce. Yeah, that's good. That feels pretty real to me. I like that you got the rotation right at the end. And I like there's a bit of a feeling of randomness in there, which can be good for a real ball. That middle jump does seem to jump forward. This one right here. Pretty quick, but where's your ball top control? What? You put it on that? Interesting. You're supposed to put it on like this one. Yeah, I mean, you kind of. I guess if you like the kind of randomness, this is sort of good. Sort of going a little slower here, and then it speeds up in here, and then slows down again. Well, that's all right. That gives it that kind of makes it feel sort of real that it's a little random. I think it's good. Okay, this is Yujin. Yeah, I think that looks good. I might tone down the squash and stretch a little bit, but it looks pretty lively. If you wanted to do that, you can take this top control, and let's look in the graph editor, and just take all of these and R for scale, shift middle mouse drag, and just pull those back a bit. And just check that Y translate curve too, because there's something. Whoop, wrong one. That's alright. I mean, maybe. Whoops. Okay, it needs a little bit more. Oh yeah. Need a little more rounded here, kind of. See if you like that better. What is that, locked or something? Oh yeah, there we go. That's better. I don't know. It's probably not going to be much different. Maybe a touch different. I think I like that a little bit better. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay, this is Yujin Realistic Bounce, and Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think for realistic, maybe you want to make it feel like it's hanging a little less on these bounces. So yeah, see how it's kind of flat on top on those Y translate curves? I think that's actually a bit too much now for a realistic bounce. So I might kind of, tone these down a little bit. And I think that'll look, a little more realistic that way. Maybe the last two bounces could lose their height a little faster, or overall we could just kind of, and then maybe the length of these could decrease too, length of time as these get shorter, especially this last one. Then yeah, let's just move some of these back a bit. See if you like that any better. Just have to add some more rotation at the end there. I think I like it better with the bounces getting a little shorter and faster. Could even go further with that. And then on the rotation, see, if the ball's not going to slow down, then this can't slow down, so that would need to be linear. That's better. And you could also slow the ball down. So if you wanted to make that, so, if we wanted to make this flat, then we could also make the rotation flat at the end there, and that could slow down together. Yeah, that feels a little more natural. Okay, so a few improvements. Okay, this is Smiljan. Alright, so you've got the squash and stretch looking good. I think there's an issue with the Y curve. Seeing a lot of the... Where's your... Oh, here. Okay. Yeah, let's just isolate that. And you can see it right away that how they kind of slow down at the bottom. Like, let's just zoom in on one. See how that should be... first of all, all the bottom ones here should be broken like that, and I can just try to do all these at the same time, like so, and then try to do all these at the same time. Whoa, that was bad. Alright. Just do one at a time. It's getting annoying. So, yeah, clearly this part didn't get really done. Oh, and that last one's weird how long that is. Maybe that one doesn't go up. It's flat there. I don't know. Yeah, it looks much more bouncy now. Okay, so that's the main thing. There's probably some other stuff you can fix. Probably some of that forward momentum is a little bit uneven here. I might take those out and make this first one linear. And if you want, you can slow down at the end. Maybe not quite so much, but and then you have the, if you wanted to do the extra contact frame, you can do that too. And yeah, same problem on the realistic one with the Y translate curve. Um, it's the yeah, you didn't do the maybe some issues with the momentum there too, but I can see right away. You gotta do that. You have that slow in, slow out here, and you've got to fix these tangents. You got to break the tangent there, and fix all those, right? For it to be a bouncy looking thing. Just break all these. And that's true for realistic, and it's true for cartooning. Etc. Etc. I mean, I don't need to go nuts. I don't know how many times you guys need to see that. But yeah, already it looks a lot bouncier and more, I think, more realistic too. Okay, this is Nathan, and few issues here. First is I would probably tone down the amount of rotation. Where did you put your rotation? Well, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, get rid of all these and just a lot less rotation. So you did 725. Let's try like 360 or something, and let's make this linear. Whoop! Let's get rid of that one in the middle. Okay. Oh no! I think I crashed. Okay, this back in with Nathan's realistic bounce. Yeah, I think it's alright. I think I would look to get some rotation in there. So it doesn't seem like there's any right now. And maybe make that linear. See how that looks. What? Oh, I don't have auto keyframe on at the end there. Okay. Yeah, that already looks better to me. And there's some weird momentum thing at the end that it kind of goes backwards. I mean, if you're gonna go backwards like this, like like they can sometimes do, I think would need to rotate back this way. It's not that believable, but yeah, I mean, I know things can have an uneven momentum, but there's some stuff in there that looks not that believable to me when I look at this curve. Let's look at this Y curve first. Yeah, this looks a little wacky here. Maybe kind of tone that down a bit there and there. Should help a touch. And then yeah, I guess again it's that kind of randomness that makes things look sort of real, but I guess what's weird is sort of this right here. Oh, it's ball placement. Yeah, maybe if we just kind of take this and just tone that down some, so it's not quite such an extreme change between those two, and also this one kind of get that flatter and centered more. And oh yeah, let's make sure that these should all be at the same height. Probably all at one, right? Okay. Oh yeah, and there was, I just saw this probably needs to be a bit. Whoop. Let's break that and move this one up a bit. Something more like that. Okay. Yeah, that looks a little better. Alright, so a few fixes on that one, but overall it looks like you're kind of paying attention to the realistic movement.